in terms of the whole divesting conversation, please have at it. If you're a black woman and you haven't been lucky with black men, hey man, get you a Chad. If you are a young man who hasn't been lucky with black women, and truth be told, if you want to attract black women, get you a white woman or get you a white girl. In terms of the whole thing with educating black boys, absolutely not. No, first of all, I don't have any children, but no, no. We are finite beings living on a floating rock in infinity. I'm not about to waste my good years helping out some Pookie and Ray Ray's kids. No, absolutely not. No, I'm gonna help myself become wealthy and rich. Because at the end of the day, none of these kids will care about you in old age. You may have one or two, but these kids don't care about you. No, I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy, and I want to conquer. So yeah, that's that. I guess hopefully you guys will invite me back. And Inaz, I apologize. I do consider you black. I was just trolling. I'll admit that all day. Okay, you're definitely not white. I mean, come on now. But salute to you. And mistaken, you look like you are a violent wine drunk. You've hit a nigga or two under the influence of wine. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it 100. Mistaken. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep
In
it
my
real.
heyday, I
I
probably
knew
would
it.
have stopped you. Yeah.
See, I told you.
I
I
was
told
the
you.
Enos would have laughed so hard.
Oh 06 Trigger Mike, salute to you, AP, salute to you, Marcus. I saw
My
your
man.
private chat, guys, by the way. Mistaken, Shan, thank you guys so much. In the chat, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
All right. All right. Anybody else have any closing statements that they would like to leave us on?
I wanna say this, and I understand the point chaotic came from, but we can't leave everybody behind. If we really want to be successful, we can't, because all that does is create another
So
generation
let me
of
let
of,
me.
of a
Oh, go
prison
ahead.
population and somebody else to murk you when you're going down the street minding your own business. If somebody
So
doesn't reach out and at least make the attempt, if it's on your heart, because I don't think it's for everybody.
I agree.
I don't,
yeah,
but it is heavy on my heart. So for me, it's important to me. That is part of the legacy I leave. So when my son and he gets his own family and he's moving in the direction he needs to go with his life, he's able to identify and recognize and also help the community as
yeah,
as as much as he did. And I want him to know that his dad gave everything, right? That's
yeah,
part of the legacy that I'm leaving. So
yeah.
not I know it's not for everybody, but if it's on you, don't shrug it away because of what some guy on the internet said was a dumb idea.
So let me tell you, even with what Chaotic said, so we have pretty much the same story. We're in the same fraternity and all of that. I think a big part of our position now comes from over a decade of hardcore, intensive grassroots work, only to have this, like, literally most of the men that aren't doing it, like, so most of the men end up becoming elitists, and this is how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
When you try to help the underprivileged, that stuff that he was saying, and unfortunately, like, it's true in my experience too, and we serve completely different regions. When you try to help the underprivileged, it's literally like throwing it's like the kid's gonna end up, they don't want help, they want, what's the term, where they want entitlements over, like, you see what I'm saying? It's like they don't want to be better, they want you to fix it. It's weird how you realize that the time that you're not investing in children that are showing up starts to get to you, right? So that's why you end up having men who turn into elitists and only helping kids who show up to the science camp, only helping kids who show up to the computer stuff, because you're like, I'm sitting here trying to help these other kids and their moms ain't bringing them, and so it literally frustrates the shit out of us over and over and over again, to where we just end up helping the people who show up in our own families, right? So what I'll tell people now is that it's going to get worse before it gets better, because this is the way a lot of black men feel and aren't voicing it, and then realize that they kind of just start to behave like an island onto themselves and realize that their biggest obligation is to their own family, and that's the one thing that they can put out there to say, I did something, right? So yeah.
I just want to rebut you just real, and I know we're trying to end it, but there is a certain gratification when something like this happens, and this is a true story from this past summer. A kid that I used to mentor about 5 years ago, for 2 years, is now going into he will be going into a senior year this upcoming year, was at a football camp that I was coaching at.
Yeah.
He stopped me in the hallway and said, "Thank you for staying on me. I will go to college because of you." If like I got chills right now thinking about it. Those like you might not reach everybody, but I reached one.
So
I reached one.
I hear what both you gentlemen are saying, right? And I think both perspectives are really valid. I don't think we should discount how um, much of a burnout it can be for some people, especially when you're stuck working in a silo, right? Like Trigger Mike talked about how, vast his majority is. I'm sure each of the gentlemen was working within not only their own specific communities, but within their own specific skill set within that community, right? And until we can build partnerships with people and start to work as teams, I think it's so much to put on people that when you're managing everyday life on top of that, trying to be successful, trying to raise your children properly, trying to be a productive member of the community, trying to be a present and active husband and father, and whatever other hats that Black men take on, because they do wear multiple hats. I think when you're working in those silos, you could do just as much damage to the person who's trying to help, that if that person pushes themselves, could do just as much damage towards the community, right? And so I think if you can, great, but I could never advocate for somebody pushing themselves where it becomes an issue for them or the community that they're trying to serve. And I think both aspects need to be respected, right? Everybody should help where they can, where they're able to the capacity in which they're able to. And I think that's really where the sweet spot is without causing additional harm.
And the one thing I'll say, AP, is that it's oh my God, it becomes so insufferable. Like even thinking about some of the things I experienced, I had to put it off in my mind. Imagine being a 23-year-old new grad. So I'm broke. I made like $35,000 a year. All right. Running a literary skills camp. And all of the instructions say, so I'm already driving 20 something miles to get to that part of the city. Now, imagine all the single moms dropping their kids off, and all it said was leave lunch with them during the summer. 5 days free, 5 days a week for like 3 weeks.
Damn.
And half the moms out of 50 kids did not bring lunch. And a 23-year-old got to go buy McDonald's McChickens, who's already broke, struggling to pay his rent. This is the type of stuff that we will make you say, oh my, like, you see what I'm saying? This is like, we definitely don't want to sit here and like just cry about it and complain about. I'm just saying these are the experiences that just make people like shake their head like, yo, you leave me the food stamp card. You can do, I will do anything, just don't drop him off with no food because you feel like it should be free since we're doing a camp. Oh my God,
man, I get it. Again, it's not from everybody, and I think Inaz hit it right on the head.
You help where you can, and what I'm saying is I do believe that there is more than one way. What I'm hearing though is like, even if there is more than one way, I am just going to focus on my family unit. But I think part of just as part of our humanity, just in general, is to serve. I think that's the core of us as humans, is to serve. So I do believe finding what capacity you can serve. And I just kind of find like a lot of times we're in such our, not even generation, but our world is just about self. And I think we just kind of need to move from that if we're going to, if the goal is to seek for better outcomes, especially for our community. So the question is, how can you serve your community? You said, nope, it can't be in school system. That's just not my thing. I tried it. I don't think you should stop finding where your niche is. So your niche could probably be, let me tackle more so the school system. Let me vote to be on the board. So then that way, maybe I can get some curriculum in the school system that would benefit, like making financial literacy a mandatory class, something like that. So I think there are different ways that people can serve that makes them, that's comfortable for them. Not everybody is built to be in a hood, doing something.
I was going to say, another big point that we want to make up is that there are so many funded programs that exist that people don't show up for.
That's true. That is true.
I agree.
That is
so
true.
many.
But I'm gonna be honest, I've also experienced a lot of people not being aware of those programs. I'm in that, like there were programs in the school that I'm working in that I did not even hear of until I had like some kind of meeting, and then somebody said something. I'm like, we have that in our school. So I also think it's not necessarily, broadcasted the way that it could be, so more people can participate. But I do agree with you.
So that goes back to what I was saying about like working in silos, right? Like Trigger Mike having that camp. If he had partnered up with, after day 3 of seeing this happen, if he'd partnered up with, a local restaurant that wanted to help, right, and provide lunch for everybody, right? Like that type of community, that type of working in tandem with each other of where everybody's strengths are, is really what stops the burnout and what creates more lasting change, right? But I think because we don't already have community, silos is what gets built, and like people just kind of work in pockets and in what they're good at, and you only talk to your immediate people and it never really gets out, right? So if those programs that you didn't know about, Mistaken, were run by people who were working in tandem with other groups and this group, all of a sudden they have to add additional resources because they just don't have enough funds for the amount of people that are coming in, right? And that's really where the struggle is, of like, you have to have community in order to stop working in silos, but you're working in silos because there isn't a community. And so we have to find out where to break that cycle.
Yeah, I figured it out. That's why I maintain focus on my immediate family. I went and asked my father, and and other men. The funny thing about African men is they've all got the same answer to this. Their answer is stop helping. They keep failing because you keep helping. It sounds crazy, right? But AP, you're right. You help that one that you know is receptive. You help that one that you know will listen, that you have the trust of his mother and can take them. You help those in increments. You create bonds with families and to where you can help where you can and have the freedom to do so. But the one thing nobody ever wants to admit is that it has to get worse before it gets better. Literally, the desperation. So the one thing you can actually do is mandatory custody for all fathers. If you really want this to change overnight, just send these kids, run these daddies their kids. That's number one. Number two is cancel the entitlement altogether. Literally, not Africans know this very well. If you want to see the character of people bring about suffering, these ladies don't suffer. These kids, I'm sorry, the parents don't suffer and they don't have enough desperation to even see the problem they created. So that's why they're dropping them off to me with no lunch, because they just figure I'm going to take care of it. He's not going to let the kids starve. You see what I'm saying? That was pure disrespect and characteristic of them being entitled. How are you poor and entitled? The only way I can change that is to let you know how bad things can really get. So unfortunately, I'm on that now.
I don't know if I disagree with some of that though.
No, I agree. And Mistaken, I know you were talking about God and the purpose of humanity is servitude, right? And I'm not entirely sure how it works in Christianity, but in Islam, your service is to God first, your family second, your community third. That's the hierarchy of it, right?
I
And
agree
so
with you. Yep.
there are some people who don't have the capacity of past serving God, and there are some people that don't have the capacity to serve past their family, right? And so there are some people who are blessed enough to be able to have extra to serve their community, but that's not everybody's same capacity.
I have a question though. So if the hierarchy is serve God, right? You don't think that part of that servitude to God is to serve others?
I think that's within a person's capacity, because sometimes some people struggle with so much that just like fighting your own demons is more than enough of a challenge for them, right? And we see that in people who aren't able to work through their traumas and connect with somebody to build a family. There are some people who struggle because they haven't had the example of family to try and keep their family the way that it is, that they don't have enough to be able to pour into their community. All of that is still servitude of God, right? But the people who are able to work through their demons to build their family and have some left over, those are the people who have enough to serve their community, right? And I think that we need to respect people's capacity and not push them past what they're capable to, because at least the way that we're taught is that could be really damaging to that person's relationship to God, right? If you push somebody past what they're capable of doing.